Well, joining us now is polls analyst Philippe Fournier, the man behind 338 Canada. Philippe, always good to see you. Thank you for taking the time.
Bonjour, Michael. It's good to see you.
You know, the numbers here, they are really astounding. Not only this double-digit lead for Conservatives, but when you crunch the numbers, we're looking at a resounding majority for the Tories if an election were held today. Can you talk to us about the numbers and what they look like right now?
Well, Michael, as you know, I don't rely on a single poll. I take a collection of polls, and of course, polls come and go, and they add up. And since the convention, we have seen a growing conservative lead in every pollster in the country. It used to be between 4 and 6 points, and now it's regularly double digit, as you mentioned. The latest polling that we had last week, Main Street Research and Abacus data, both 13 and 14-point leads for the Conservative. So this is a massive lead, and it's not just located in the prairies in Alberta where the Conservatives were already doing well. They're also doing well where they need to win, and that's why the seat projection now is close to 200 seats for the Conservatives. Now, there's no election on the horizon, so let's not get carried away, but this is the state of the landscape right now.
Well, certainly gives us a measure of what people are thinking, and certainly a big change from what we saw even in the summer. So let's break that down a bit more, if you don't mind. Let's start in Atlantic Canada. Of course, this Liberal stronghold for Trudeau since his first election as leader. So what's happening there right now for the Liberal Party?
The slow erosion of Liberal support in Atlantic Canada has completely fallen now. So when we look at polling, we have to be careful. Usually Atlantic Canada in polls, it's a small sample. It's around 100 cases. So it yields a huge uncertainty. But when you see poll after poll after poll that has at best for the Liberals a tie, at worst, a double-digit lead for the Conservatives, it means that they're losing their grip on what used to be a very good stronghold, where there are 32 seats, and most of them are Liberal right now. So the projection says now that the Conservatives would win the most seats in Atlantic Canada, which they haven't done since the Harper era, of course. Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, they all lean blue. Newfoundland, which has always leaned red. Even Michael Ignatieff in 2011, in his disastrous election, still won the popular vote in Newfoundland. But now the latest poll that we had from Abacus data show a 9-point lead for the Conservatives, and so they would win the most seats in that province too if an election were held this week.
Okay, so obviously slipping in Atlantic Canada. Let's now go to Ontario, because that's the other region, other province that has really been a Liberal bedrock. What's happening there?
Well, the thing is, in Ontario, you don't need to see the vote move that much for many seats to flip. So let's remember that the Liberals had almost 2-to-1 advantage in seats in Ontario in the last election, yet they only won Ontario by 4 points, 39% to 35% for the Conservatives. But now all this vote efficiency that the Liberals used to enjoy, well, vote efficiency is a double-edged sword. When you start losing votes and losing in popular support to your main rival, it costs you many seats. So right now, when you see all the polling that we've seen in Ontario, from 8-point lead to a 15-point lead for the Conservatives, it means that the Conservatives are looking at maybe 70 to 80 seats in the province of Ontario. And just from there, it makes it impossible for the Liberals to win even a slim minority. They need to win Ontario if they have a chance to keep the most seats and have a plurality in the House of Commons. And now they are losing in Ontario as well.
Okay, so let's go now to some reasoning behind this, because as you know, the Tories did have this big ad buy during the summer. It's continuing into the autumn season. It features Pierre Poilievre as a leader that Canadians must get to know. Is that what we're seeing in part by these numbers, the success of that ad campaign?
It's a good question, Michael. Usually we have to be careful with the cause and effect in polling. Sometimes it's not as linear as we wish it to be. But as you said, since Pierre Poilievre became leader, and especially in the last 5 or 6 months, the Conservatives have been on an almost constant campaign. And the ad buys that we've seen this summer, where the Conservatives have tried to soften the image of Mr. Poilievre, with Madame Poilievre, of course, being featured in those campaigns, seem to be bearing fruit right now. And so I think, the wear and tear of time, the wear and tear of power for the Liberals is starting to really take a hold on them. Plus, the Conservatives have a new leader that seems to be very energetic and appealing to many Canadians.
Okay, wear and tear, that's the phrase that you're using. Can you talk about confidence? Have even Liberals now lost confidence in Justin Trudeau? Is that what we're seeing here?
Well, we're not there yet, although the numbers suggest that there are fewer and fewer potential liberal voters. So yes, you could say that the average swing voter in this country tends to lean more towards the conservatives this time around. But when we look at Justin Trudeau's personal numbers in the latest Abacus poll, only 27% of Canadians had a positive impression of the Prime Minister. Obviously, that number used to be much higher, and it has stagnated in the past few months. And so, with such numbers, you're down to the core base of the Liberals, and the core base is not enough to win in an election.
Now, the Liberals have focused much more on affordability ever since Parliament returned a month ago. Has that effort been factored into these numbers, or is it still too early to tell?
It is too early to tell, but you can understand from those efforts that the Liberals see the same polls as we do. Because in every poll that they ask about what issues matter most to the Canadians right now, cost of issue, inflation, the price of groceries, of course, housing has been a big issue. And so right now, the Liberals are trying to go on the offense on those issues that matter the most to Canadians. It could bear fruit. We'll see in the next months and years if it works. The Liberals have 2 years before the next election, if the NDP, of course, keep part of the deal. But it's too early to tell. I'll answer that question maybe next spring.
Okay. Well, luckily, you send out publications much more frequently than that. So I'm sure you and I will speak before that, Philippe. But really appreciate, as I said, astounding numbers to be breaking down with you today. Really appreciate the time.
Thank you, Michael. Have a great day.
You too. And that's polls analyst Philippe Fournier.